First, we'll take a look at the dollar. So USD, we did see a bit of weakness yesterday. Nothing crazy. Price still kind of fading at the lows here. Again, momentum is a little bit drying up, and that's the key thing, which is why I'm not looking to short the dollar. Yes, the market's still bearish. Yes, we're still very consistent with lower lows and lower highs. So definitely from an intraday point of view, shorts look good. We mentioned yesterday perhaps a retest of this area for a pullback. We do have a bit of a gap there in the market from the open of the week. Was that the open of the week or open of yesterday? No, that was open of Tuesday, actually. So we do have a bit of a gap there. Price could potentially go and fill, retest prior structure, and perhaps be on its way. So I do like the shorts from an intraday point of view. I think a pullback and some downside looking to follow that momentum makes a load of sense. But the key part of that is intraday timeframes, lower timeframes. Because I wouldn't want to be holding short dollar with how corrective we are looking and how tired we are looking. The price, yes, could still fall and go lower, but with how corrective we are looking, I do think a bigger up move is very much on the cards. Now, the thing with that is that we could still stay bearish for another week or two before that up move does come around. So again, intraday, I think there'll be shorts in the meantime. But from a swing position, from a swing trader, you're kind of just waiting patiently, or you're dropping to the lower time frames to take advantage of those moves. I was looking to see this week if we could break structure. We didn't. We respected the high very well, aggressive reaction, and that has given us this bearish move. Now, price is respecting support at the moment. Again, would I be looking to buy the dollar? No, there's no kind of initial change in structure. Price hasn't taken out any significant highs. I wouldn't try and anticipate double bottom here just because there's a very good probability we do break through the lows here. So I wouldn't be trying to buy the dollar. I can see, yes, we are respecting support. We might see a bit of an up move, based on that reaction, based on that rejection. But I would still fancy us to see lower prices still. So dollar's still looking bearish. Likelihood is that we are likely to stay bearish unless we see a big change in structure and price rocks to the upside, takes out these highs. Then, of course, if we were to do something like that, I would definitely be bullish on USD, looking for some pullbacks, some higher lows, and some buying opportunities. So this is what I would be after as a swing trader, looking for something counter trend. But we're still a long way away from that. So for now, we'll just be looking at more downside, perhaps a pullback into this same area which we mentioned yesterday. Fill the gap as well. That could be a nice intraday short to look into. But yeah, I know price is respecting support now, but I wouldn't be looking to try and look for any counter trend moves. I think it's still a little bit too aggressive as the structure is still pointing lower. So I would suggest to keep a close eye around 98.5. Taking that info into Euro, as you can see, Euro has been pretty bullish, but again, kind of fading at the highs a little bit, which again shows that how corrective EURUSD has been. So despite the uptrend we do have here, it's just a very fatigued, very corrective move, which is why I do think price is likely to fall to the downside at some point, similar to what Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollar did, although they kind of rocketed back to the upside very quickly. But we did see that sell off, and I do think Euro is likely to go through that at some point. We're just kind of waiting for that to happen. Price at the moment respecting highs, fading at them a little bit. There might be some downside for Euro off the back of that. As we touched on yesterday, I like this zone here for a buy, especially on an intraday chart as well. You can see the aggressive double bottom we had over there. Price breaks the upside very aggressively, leaving behind some broken resistance, which will return support, which we haven't yet seen price come back to retest and give an opportunity for a long. So if we were to push down, fresh support, as long as we can look good here, reject well, nice and correct retracement, I still think that's a nice buy. Again, nothing too crazy. If you can buy from the low here, take it back to resistance, I think that's a very good trade within itself. You can call it a day and book some profits there. Yeah, so Euro, again, intraday buys make sense. Still seeing higher highs and higher lows. The trend line still acting. It's still keeping the market bullish. So I would still favor more upside for Euro until we see something like this happen. And then, yes, I would be looking at a lower high and some shorts afterwards. But we're still very, very far away from that happening. So for now, looking at a pullback and then some more upside. Pound USD, similar situation, strong up move, kind of failing at highs as well right now. Would I be looking to try and take some short off the back of that? No, I still think it's quite aggressive. The trend is still very much to the upside. I was looking to see if pound could break back below this area, and that would have made me bearish for pound USD, because at that point I would have the break of this consolidation to the downside, which is a bearish signal, and then I could be looking for some lower lows and some lower highs off the back of that, perhaps on the retest of the same level. But note, this week we got a very strong rejection of that level. Price rallied very well. Now it's starting to fade at the highs. We did speak about some buys off this area here. I think, again, still looks very good if price can get there for a retest. I would prefer euro a little bit more. I think pound is just a little bit choppy. I'm kind of viewing all of this as a consolidation. So really, I don't really want to be trying to take trades in the middle of the consolidation, because that's where the most fluctuation, the most indecision will be. Preferably I would like to be at the lows or at the highs of the range, not in the middle. So pound USD, I don't like the location, but it was a very sharp breakout, and typically when we do have very sharp, very impulsive breaks of levels, the retest often is normally a good one. So depending how price gets there, depending how we react, this could be a nice buy. I'd wait for more information before really looking at that as a solid opportunity. So I'd wait to see how price gets there and how we react. As for the selling ideas, again, like I said, you could probably take some shorts off the high here. It's a bit more of an aggressive trade, because essentially you're calling the tops on pound. So it's more of an aggressive trade. You've already seen some selling pressure come in, so it's not the worst or the most aggressive trade in the world. It's not like the market is just absolutely flying. You're trying to short the highs there. There has been some evidence of selling pressure, but I would still say it's quite aggressive. The more conservative trade would be waiting for price to break lower, which is what we were waiting for at the start of the week, to see if we can break through support here, and then looking for some shorts afterwards, because at that point we've got a break of structure, we've broken out the consolidation, all of this mess is broken lower, and the chance of a retest of this area would probably provide some nice entries, and maybe a short back into this low around 1.315. So at that point, pound USD be looking very, very bearish, and I would like the shorts there. So that's really what I'm waiting for pound. I know that will take some time. There is some aggressive shorts now, but not really my type of trade to take. Dollar CAD, probably my more favored opportunity right now, and not too far away from forming. I'm still pretty bearish on dollar CAD. Dollar CAD kind of goes against my bullish bias on the USD, but I kind of like that because it's a bit of a contingency plan. If, okay, maybe dollar is going to be bearish, dollar CAD should still give me opportunities. But yeah, the way I see dollar CAD right now, market's still very consistent with lower highs on the daily chart. We've got one high over there, strong move down, another lower high, strong move down, another lower high, strong move down. So I'm looking just for the repeat of that, the next lower high, for again another push to the downside. There's a couple of areas I said I was looking at as we came into the new week, this area being one which we tapped into, and this area being the second. Both nice areas of supply consolidation, but we did see a lot of momentum to the downside. Now prices pushed back into that first area. We saw a nice reaction not yesterday, Monday. I'm looking to see if price can come back and retest that and give me a nice double top for some entries, and then of course targets back to where we came from into the lows. So USD CAD, I'm looking to short high around 1.38. I actually probably will be looking to buy the pair as well as we come back into lows. We are still very much a very big area of demand. I think we could see a lot more upsides than we have already done. So you can see massive area, big move to the upside. We've only just tapped into that. Perhaps a double bottom could form, similar to the one we had over here, and we might see some upside off the back of that. So I do like the buys in this zone, but I also like the sells up here as well. So just waiting to see if price can push back into resistance, fall that double top. If this area doesn't hold and price does break through, well, then I'll look to see what we can do at 1.39 back into that range, where again, I'll look for a similar move and a similar pattern for a push back into lows. So those are my kind of areas for shorts. This is my area for longs. As for Aussie dollar, not really too interested with price action until we push back to the higher end of the range. We still do have this corrective channel at play. And the plan this week for myself was looking to short at the high of the channel. So as you can see how corrective we've been looking, price was forming a lot of equal highs here. I was looking to see if price can go and run through those highs, tap into the higher end of the channel, and then potentially find some shorts off the back of that. That would be my preferred opportunity. Of course, that hasn't arisen yet. Price had a bit of a sell-off, but that was kind of anticlimactic as we climbed back within the channel. So I wouldn't mind some buy opportunities. Not really something I'll look at. I think if you are going to look at some buying opportunities off the retest of this area, you probably do want to drop to like an hourly chart for entries. But the idea is that, okay, we've had this sell-off followed by a very sharp recovery. This looks to me like a massive fake out of the low of the range, or the low of the channel. So if this is a fake out, then price most likely will respect the low and continue higher. So this becomes a nice trading opportunity. Again, more so on like the hourly chart, waiting for a valid retest, a valid rejection before entering, and then hopefully riding that to the upper end of the range or the channel. But as price still stays within the channel, I still do have a long-term, well, I have a long-term bullish bias, but I do still think we could have a big drop to the downside. The fact that this hasn't really amounted to much tells me that, okay, maybe Aussie dollar can still run higher, test the higher end of the channel. This is where I could hopefully find my shorting opportunities, then take price lower, and then maybe hope for a bigger breakout. But we'll see. If I can get some shorts up here, I'll be more than happy with a push to the lower end of the channel. You know, book some profits there, leave the rest to run. Let's see how far we go afterwards. But for now, I do like the short-term buys here, but this sell is where I do see the bigger move to be. So that's kind of where my focus is. As for New Zealand dollar, I don't really have a setup for this one. I mean, it's a similar price action to Aussie dollar in terms of the sharp move to the downside, followed by a very sharp recovery. So that does tell me that New Zealand dollar most likely will push higher back into highs, maybe even further as well. But I'm not really seeing an opportunity to take advantage of that. We had this bullish channel for a while. Price broke out of that. You can see compared to Aussie dollar, we broke back within the channel, which gives us the opportunity for the retest and the long. New Zealand dollar, we haven't really done that. We're actually still coming back into resistance. So although I do fancy more upside for NZD, I'm just not seeing a good buy. Maybe if we turn back to the lows here, this might be a nice place for a buy, but we're very, very far away from that. So I wouldn't be too concerned with the lows here just yet. But I'm bullish on the pair, just don't really have a solid buy opportunity for it. As for gold, a slight reaction yesterday, nothing really too significant. With gold, I still don't like the fact that we did break through the trend line. That does kind of lower the quality of the setup. I'm still bullish regardless though. I still do think gold is likely to push back into 3,500, which of course is the all-time highs. So that's still my expectation for gold. But I'm just struggling to find a good opportunity to buy it really. I did say yesterday that this could be a nice area for a short-term buy. I wouldn't probably look to try and take it further than this area. Or at least I would book most of my profits. We can go a lot further than that area, of course, but I would book most of my profits there, leave some to trail. Maybe we do push back to highs, maybe we don't. But yeah, nice rejection yesterday, nice wicks. Haven't really seen much momentum, which tells me that gold is probably going to come back for another retest. And again, we'll see what price does. Potentially, we might form a nice double bottom here for a long. Or of course, if we do break through, that's when things get really awkward, because that technically would be a break of structure. You know, this is our last swing, which gave us this swing high. Breaking through this low would not be in line with that bullish bias in the 4-hour chart, because that would be a break of structure. At that point, I would fancy a lower high and another lower low. And maybe gold is going to rally, or fall, I should say, back to these lows here at 31.30. So a break of this low is not good for buyers. And yeah, I probably would fancy a lot more downside at that point. But as of right now, we're still just about holding on to support. So let's see how price reacts. I still do fancy another reaction to the upside. But yeah, targets around 3,400, I think, are sensible. Silver, on the other hand, I like for the longs. I think they look really, really good. Again, we still have that healthy breakout of that daily resistance, which is what makes me very bullish on the pair. You can see a solid break to the upside. I am now looking at a pullback to retest this zone for more long opportunities. Basically just looking to follow momentum here. If this is a big breakout of this range here, if this breakout does really mean business, I want to be a part of that. I do have longer term targets back at 40 for silver, so I still do see a lot more upside. It's just about being patient and waiting for an opportunity. Right now, silver to me is kind of just flat, moving sideways. So if we can come back, retest this area, maybe we'll see momentum step in from there. There's also a nice brief range over here as well, where we did consolidate briefly and then spat out a lot of momentum. Hopefully price can test that, find some more buyers, and maybe that could be the injection that silver needs to rally again. And of course, targets back at the high, and hopefully you can hold some positions to run further.